Hey folks, I just wanted to go over a few different media formats for music that some people have started to adopt for nostalgic reasons. We've got cassettes, tapes, and CDs that have been becoming more popular these days. And because people want to have physical media, they like to have cassette tapes, they like to have some kind of a CD, but is this not physical media? Let's review, because I have another vintage device which I think is superior to both of these and cheaper and easier to get music for. So let's go through these. First of all, Walkman cassette tapes, 90 minutes max. Usually you can get up to 110 very thin tapes. But yeah, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And you have to flip them over when you get to the end of a side. Difficult to find music. You have to seek back and forth. If you want to play a song, you need to essentially go through the entire thing. Back and forth, rewind. Belts go on these things. They're, a little bit, not too big, but definitely smaller than a CD player. We've got CD players. Traditional CD player can't play MP3. It'll hold about maybe an hour and 20 minutes worth of music, hour 10. Most CDs, music CDs are not that large anyway. They may be 40, 50 minutes of an album. If you decide to get an MP3 capable CD player, you can then burn your own CD, ours, 700 megabytes. You'll hold about 10 plus hours worth of music, or roughly about 15 average albums. And that's a lot more music in this thing than in this. And these are a little bit larger, but way more music can be stored. Not as many parts to break. Definitely no belt on these things usually. And they last a very long time. One AA battery on this thing, and it'll last for an extremely long time. You can easily seek to any track you want. If you have MP3 music, same thing, easily seek to any track you want. This is a digital music format. This is analog, okay? And so when you go to one of these, it's still digital. It just happens to be stored on a memory card, okay? A flash memory card. Now, why not put, with this is a 4 gig card right there, 4 gigs. And you can see that's equivalent to about 5 or 6 of these CDRs. Okay. So on a 4, and this is by no means the largest card. This is like tiny compared to what you can get these days, but some devices won't support bigger than 4 gig. But even a tiny little 4 gig card like this will store 50, 60 hours worth of MP3 music easily. 50, 60 hours. You'll never have to change it. You can put it into your computer, copy and paste, and drag files over, remove. If you have a huge collection of music, essentially you can rip all your CDs and put everything on one of these and have a backup. Okay. Now, yes, it is lossy, but even with good encoding, you can still get a fairly good copy that should be no issues for you to listen to on the go. I mean, we're not talking about playing this in, $1,000 stereo system at home over amazing loudspeakers. This is earpods on the go, portable. You don't need, hi-fi audio file quality stuff. I doubt anyone will be able to hear the difference anyway. You want to still be a little bit vintage and look cool and interesting? Sure. Get yourself a BlackBerry. BlackBerry phone, smaller than the Walkman, smaller than a cassette even. It'll fit inside the cassette housing, I'm sure. Definitely much smaller than the Sony. You can slide this into here. By the way, this BlackBerry is quite a few years old. It doesn't work as a phone anymore, but it's a fantastic device for media playing, video, camera. I mean, the camera is not great, but media playing, no problem, and it'll last a long, long time. Card goes in here. Let's close the back and turn it on. And by the way, the batteries on these things last forever also, because without cellular service, you just turn the antenna off. There's absolutely very little consumption if this thing is sitting there without any kind of, audio. I mean, without any kind of antenna usage, it does not have to use much battery. You can see the battery's full. This thing plays for hours. It barely makes a ding in this thing, and you can just turn it off and on. Now, let me unlock this device. Give me one moment, because I'm not even sure if I can unlock it with one finger here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this BlackBerry I got off eBay. You can buy lots of these things. I mean, by lots, I mean actually what's called a lot, which could be like 5 to 10 BlackBerries instead of individual ones, and they'll just give it to you. They were a lot more easily available a few years ago, because a lot of companies switched their entire enterprise systems over to a different phone company. So you'll get a whole bunch of these from banks, from corporations, and so on. They just basically recycled and brought these back after their lease agreements ended or something happened. But there were tons of these available for nothing, absolutely nothing. You go here to media, and you can see, if I go to music, I've got all sorts of stuff in here. Okay, lots of mixes. They play, no problem. Here's an Otecker mix. 12 hours, by the way. Oh, EBM old school mix. Can fast forward. Here we go. You can kind of hear it there. Okay. Why do I like this? Okay, a few advantages. One, you can choose and select any kind of song you want. You can jump back and forth, unlike a tape where you have to rewind, fast forward, can be a little bit tricky. Quality of these is amazing. It just all depends on what format you decide to save it in. The BlackBerry will play more than just MP3. I think it'll cover WAV and various other formats, but MP3 should work fine, especially if higher bit rates, no problem. Another reason, you can store tons of music on this thing. Once you're playing it, you can lock the screen. Saves more battery. You don't even have to do anything. Okay? And now I have a password set on this thing. Not that I want to, it's just set up that way. So it constantly asks for password when I get back in. What else do I like about the BlackBerry? I barely use any of these apps. None of them really work anymore, to be honest. But if you still want to, you're able to use Wi-Fi. This will connect to Wi-Fi right there. You will use a little bit more battery power, but you can connect to your Wi-Fi, and you can actually use the browser to stream internet radio. Now, you can't use Slacker anymore. There is, I believe, an app here. If I go to media, you'll notice there's Slacker radio. That doesn't work anymore. But if you know the URLs of specific online radio stations, you can easily just go to the browser, type them in. It'll ask you to either open or save the stream. If you hit save, it'll actually save the entire stream to the BlackBerry, to your card, and you can save the radio program, hours of it on end if you want. That's how I ended up with all these limbic files. There's a website, a radio station called Limbic Frequencies, and you'll notice all these limbics here, 2 hours, an hour, 37, all of these old school house mixes. These are all off of different radio stations, internet radio, that you can easily download and save entire hours worth of streams on the BlackBerry just by going to that URL of the radio stream. But if you have music on your computer, load them up on that card. If you want to, say, play it up to a certain point and then have it automatically turn off, you can go to Options. You can go to Device, and you can go here to Auto On Off. So at night, let's say I want to listen to some music. It's, 11 o'clock. I feel like listening for about half an hour while I'm dozing off. And I want it to turn off my 3-hour, music stream. I want it to turn off at 11:30 p.m. With this enabled, I can basically listen to my music. I go into here, start playing a stream, whatever I want, any kind of, music that I want to listen to, let's say. That's Boards of Canada, the album. And it plays. And then at 11:30, like at the power turn off time that I set, the phone shuts off. Okay? It basically goes to sleep. Music turns off. And that's it. There's a ton of functionality with this. And I find a lot of people overlook the BlackBerry or another old phone, but BlackBerries in particular. They're starting to get all nostalgic on Walkmans and nostalgic on CD players. And while that's cool, and I have both, and I lived through that era, I also lived through the BlackBerry era. And honestly, most of my music today is digitally saved as MP3 or WAV or FLAC or other types of formats, which I can easily convert in the computer. I've got it all on hard drive. Most of my CDs I've ripped, so I have a backup copy if I need to put on other media, because I'm not going to carry this thing around with me every time I want to play a CD. But my music, physical copies that I own, I want to be able to play on other devices, which I believe is you're allowed to do for fair use. If you have a record player, you can transfer your records to tape, so you can take your vinyl around with you, which I've also done. I've moved my vinyl to computer as well, recorded it as MP3, so I could play it on one of these devices or on an iPhone. Anything you can put a file on, you can play. So I highly recommend you look into getting something like an old BlackBerry phone. If you're thinking vintage and you want to take your music around, it may not be as sexy as having a Sony Walkman or CD player, but they're dirt cheap. If you can find them online, they work. The batteries are still going year and year and year after, they should have never, they probably never expected them to last this long, but the batteries are still perfectly fine, hold a charge, and last a long time. And as a little wonderful media player, they are excellent, reliable, and very functional. Plus, you've got extras like the camera, not a great camera, but something, and they're small. So why not put that in your pocket if you want to plug in your headphones? Oh, which I forgot to mention, it has Bluetooth. So you don't even need wired headphones. You can use wireless because these connect to Bluetooth anyway. I can't fit this into the case, but it is pretty small. Oh, see, it's playing the music. What did I press here? That's Boards of Canada. What did I press to start it playing again? I don't even know. This one? Oh, yeah, that must be the pause. And yeah, you see that? Oh, that advances it, by the way. Okay, so if you want to advance the track, you can just hold this down. See? Or the next track before. This pauses, and this starts it again. Okay, so you don't even need to turn it on to switch tracks, to mute it, to change the volume. These side buttons all work, and they do the same thing. And it's as small as a cassette. Practically the same thickness, same footprint. So, and 50 hours worth of music, at least on a 4 gig TF card, right there. You can't go wrong. Little card over here. So, think about it. Try out the BlackBerry for a vintage audio player before you run out and get a Walkman or a CD player, especially if you have a computer already and you have lots of files that you want to play, mixes that you've downloaded either from YouTube or Bandcamp, or CDs that you can just rip to your computer. Get a CD drive if your laptop doesn't have one, and rip all your CDs to the hard drive. Save them as MP3. Load them onto a small card like this. You can get readers for nothing. In fact, you can plug the BlackBerry directly into your computer using that USB right there, and you'll be able to access the internal storage and the media card on this thing, and just drag and drop it onto the BlackBerry directly from your computer. You don't even need a reader, but they're cheap and easy to get anyway if you need one for your laptop, if it doesn't already have a built-in slot. So, hope you enjoyed this video. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight on how I listen to my music mostly on the BlackBerry. And it's a wonderful device that hopefully some of you will be inspired to pick up as well. If you're getting nostalgic and a little vintagey and you want something from the old days that probably none of you have seen recently used at all. And if you liked this information on this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for more hints and tips like this in the future. Again, thanks for watching, and bye for now.